Hello, this is Rena with Lilo Crafts, and I am coming on today as part of hashtag Crash Your Stash, where you just use the items that you already have in your stash to create wonderful things. This is an open collab that I am hosting with Dale of Not Too Shabby Chic, so you better go and check out her channel as well to see her amazing cupcake and belly band creations. Those were our prompts that we were supposed to use today. And it is so amazing to me how you have the same prompts and everybody puts their own creativity into it and comes up with something different. And she's got such a cool idea about sliding things up and down on the belly band, so you have to go and check her out, and I'll put that link in the description below. So let's take a look at what I made. I am utilizing book pages as my base for belly bands, napkins, yes, napkins for this, and freezer paper. I'm utilizing little ephemera that I had in my stash, and burlap that I had from a thrift store that I got a while back, and cupcake liners that I have had for ages. Okay, and also I am utilizing some acetate. Yes, acetate. Okay, so this is my first belly band, and I'm just going to show you that just by doing small things you can get so many different tweaks. And I added a few rhinestones down here. For the journaling spot, I did this acetate, and you can write on acetate with Sharpie markers, and I thought that was so cool and be such a great way to put on a page and let everything shine through that you have behind it. And then I made this little envelope out of a cupcake liner, and I added 2 little jemmies, and I stamped a little birdie on the back, and you can tuck that in. And I love how this picks up on the blue, and the black picks up on these darker colors in here. Then I did one in pink, very similar, except this is just a piece of paper that I got from Temu a while back, and I've gone ahead and done the same thing, added some stickles, and this time I added some burlap behind it to add some additional interest, and I used a metallic cupcake liner, right? And I folded it into an envelope, and I didn't think it needed anything else because I love that shine, and I love how it can peek out through there and add some additional interest. I added a little piece of lace scrap and a number 8 that I had in my stash, and I've got my second one. Then I've got this one right here, which again, similar to this one, but I used a different part of the napkin, so don't let any of it go to waste. Just keep on utilizing it. Now this time, instead of folding the belly band with the bright blue up, I folded it backwards so you can still see that hint of blue shining through, but it is on the lighter side. And I stamped that bird right across the front. So I just think that has a different look. So depending on what you like, that's another option. And I inked around the edges. Now this is the same kind of thing where I flipped it out, and for the pink, so I've got the pale pink over there, and then for this tab I just used some scrap paper, and I've gone ahead and backed that on both sides, and so we've got that as a pull tab. Now this one, I had some leftover paper from this little collection, and so what I did was I made a tag, and I put that tag on the belly band, and I've got a piece of lace down here, and look, here is my cupcake liner, and I made it into a rosette, and then I used my pinking shears to come along the side there, and I glued that in. I love how that turned out. Okay, then I've got this one over here. If you do not like stickles and glitter, you can just use your paper, whatever you have. And this one, I just used a piece of lace scrap to add to the envelope this time, and I think that's so pretty, peeking out on the side like that. And I've got one more where I put 2 little jemmies on the top, so it looks kind of like a purse. So that, I think, is another option for how you can do these. Then I have just been loving Christmas, so I just cannot stop crafting for Christmas. So I've got some ideas on these. So here is a Santa, and here's this cupcake liner over here, and these are the stiffer ones. They look more like a candy cup. So you can use those as well, and I turned those into ruffles over here on the side, and I just added a scrap piece of paper that had holly on it to tie into the holly on this Santa Claus. On this one, I just made a scallop circle out of a scrap. Here's a little piece of that paper, and I had a leftover sentiment saying it's a wonderful day, and this time I added stickles to the Santa, so you can see the difference of when you add stickles or not. I turned that cupcake liner into a rosette. So I just love that. It just sets the whole head apart, and I just attached him down below. And then for this one, what I did was I had a scrap piece of paper, so I put that black behind it, and on this scrap it had this word believe. So I just fussy cut that out and I added it right to this belly band. So many different ways that you can do small tweaks to make things a little bit different. I'm going to show you how to mass make these next. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is take your book page. You're going to fold the bottom up about 1/4 of an inch, then take the top and fold it over about the same, and then fold it again. And you are doing this so that you are strengthening both the top and the bottom. And then once you finish that, you're going to fold the bottom up to meet the top and then crease in place. And you are going to repeat that process for all of the book pages that you want to make. So now that you've got your pages folded, what you're going to do is glue the flaps in place. So you're going to glue the bottom flap and push it down. Then you are going to glue both of the flaps on the top and apply the pressure, and then refold the bottom up to the top. And you are going to do that for all of your next steps. So the next step is to go ahead and trim off a little bit of the bottom and the top, and that's just to remove some of the white space that I've got, and I am using a ruler to just hold it down in place and pulling up against it. So once you've torn off the top and the bottom on all of your pieces, you are going to glue the sides down, and that is how you're going to make a pocket inside of the belly band. So you're going to put a little glue on the top, a little glue on the bottom, and apply pressure to all of the items. And so now that you've got your edges glued down, I am going to ink. Now this is totally optional. You do not have to ink if you don't want to, but I am going to ink around the entire top of the belly band, and I am doing this because I think it adds a little bit more definition and contrast, as well as draws your eye into the focal point. I am also adding just a little bit more ink into the corners, or where I think it would naturally occur, maybe where our fingers would have grabbed a hold. Now that you're all inked, it is the fun time, which is adding the focal point. And so you can see that I am using glue to go ahead and attach this. Now you will also notice that I went back and inked at a later date once I've got it attached. But what you should do is actually, if you want to ink, go ahead and ink before you attach it to the belly band. If you forget, like I did, not a problem. It can always work out in crafting. You'll see how I did that. But I would encourage you to stop and go ahead and put the ink on all of your focal points at this point. Now, if your focal point is a little bit weak or a little bit small, what I recommend is backing it onto some cardstock. You do that just by applying glue, adding it to a piece of scrap, and then going ahead and cutting around and leaving a margin on it so that it can be stronger or bigger. So now I'm going ahead and applying the focal point to the belly band just by using wet glue and placing it where I like. So now we're going to go ahead and take our cupcake liner, and we are going to unroll the edge of the cupcake liner, and we're going to stretch it apart just a bit, but not all the way, because we don't want to take all the ruffles out. We are going to cut that in half, and then we're going to cut the center part out of the middle. Then we're going to measure it up on our belly band and decide how much of that we want to put on, and we're going to cut it and glue it in place. And as we've got the glue in there and we're putting it in place, we are going to then ink around the edges. And we are going to do that for both the top and the bottom once we have those right where we want them. Now we're going to move on to the regular cupcake liners where we're making those little envelopes to put notes or little ephemera or even journaling inside. What I've done here is flatten it out, and then I went and pinched the edges so I can try and make them even in the way that you fold them to the middle. Once you've got that done, you fold the bottom up and then you fold the top over, and there you go. You've got your envelope, and you repeat this step for all the envelopes you want to create. And once you've got your envelope folded, again, this is optional, I am going to ink all of the edges, both on the outside and the inside, and I especially like the way that looks on the creases and the dimension it gives. Once you've got all your envelopes inked up, the final step here is that you are going to glue the little flaps and apply the pressure down to form the envelope shape. Now we are ready to go ahead and decorate. And for this envelope, I'm just going to stamp a sweet little bird on the outside of the envelope, but you can do anything that you would like. And the next step is we're going to make our acetate inserts. Now I have these little brochure holders that I am recycling, but any kind of acetate would work. For this, you just want to cut it to the size that you would like. And once you've got your acetate cut to the size that you would like, you're going to go ahead and trim the corners off so they're not so sharp. So I am using my 1/2 inch corner rounder on these, but you could just as easily do it with scissors if you didn't have a corner rounder. Now that they are all rounded on the corners, I want to make the tabs that will make it easier to pull it out, but I also think they're like a piece of jewelry that you could be adding to your journaling card. So I am cutting some paper to size this time. I am folding it in half, and I'm just going to apply some regular adhesive to attach it to the acetate. Now, if your pieces can't be folded over, that's not a problem either. You can take 2 separate pieces, glue one onto the back side, and then also glue it onto the front side and match the two up as I am doing with these 2 scraps of paper. You can see that, of course, I have also used burlap and attached that too. So anything that you have will work. Just use your imagination. So the last step in the process is actually matching up the envelopes and putting them onto your belly band. You can tuck them over the edge, you can tuck them under the edge. I'm just trying to figure out where it would look best here, and I am putting them on top of my acetate, and then you're all set to go. I want to announce what the prompt is for next month, and we are doing this the first Friday of every month, so it is #CrashYourStash23, and the prompts are friend and stickers. And if you don't have something that can go with those things, you have a bonus prompt that you can use, which is the word purse. Now Dale drew these words on her channel live, so if you want to see it, you can go and see that on there. And it's not too late to join us for this month, and the prompts for this month were belly band and cupcake liners. And if you don't have a cupcake liner, then you can use the word purse for this month too. So please, you guys, we'd love for you to jump in or use that hashtag again, CrashYourStash23, to go check out the other amazing makers. So if you like this video and this content, I'd so appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.